fucking. There we go. Oh my god. I was like, why is it not connecting? But there we go. So, hello everyone, hello. So sorry for the delay, and yeah, so we had to push this episode back, cause yeah, there was no way the Sunday I was supposed to, there was no way, cause I think, what time did I get home that Sunday? I think even then, I think I got out around like, not too late, but still kinda late. I mean, by the time I got home, ate, showered, there was no way I had the energy to do a podcast episode. At least not good justice, especially for a show like this. I was like, nah, I want it to be on a day while I'm rested, I'm off, and whatnot. Especially since those previously I was working the last 2 days. Literally, I just got off like a 4 days? No, it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Yeah, I literally got off of working 5 days straight. So, I was like, no, I need it to be a day where have rest, have nothing to do, I'm going nowhere, so I can properly sit down and talk to you guys about this anime. So, again, hello everyone, welcome again to another episode of Little Anime Podcast, where we talk about anything anime related, games, movies, or shows. So, as you guys can probably see if you're watching this live on YouTube or Twitch, today we'll be talking about Saint Seiya, Knights of the Zodiac. But we are be talking about the 1986 anime, so we're not going to be talking about any of the other, because oh my god, Saint Seiya is such a huge series. There's so many remakes, so many continuations. I know Netflix a couple of years back actually, like, once they got like the licensing for it, they like redubbed it. They redubbed the old anime, so now it's like all new voice actors. And then a couple of years after that, they got the greenlit to do like a 3D anime adaptation of Saint Seiya. That went on for like, well, I would say 3 seasons, but it was more like they cut the second season in like half. They did like a part 1 and a part 2. So, but yeah, so Saint Seiya is huge. There's been so many adaptations of this, so many different variants of them doing this with so many different characters and whatnot, but like kind of the main premise of the story kind of stays the same with like the same characters. You know, we'll have our main, I guess, character that the people are protecting, and then it'll just be like maybe a new villain popped up or some other great evil has come down to you know, take over the world, and it's up to them to not only protect the person they're supposed to be protecting, but protecting the world as well. So, of course, I will go over a little bit of a synopsis. I'll go over characters. This is a very long series, so I will go over like certain episodes, certain parts. Definitely, I'll be talking about the main story arcs as well, and then I'll say a little bit about this at the end because apparently this old anime adaptation only covered up to, it kind of did what Bleach did. It didn't cover the last final arc that the original manga did, but years later they did end up adapting it into like its own series. So I'll talk about that one and kind of what they did with that, because I did write notes about that one as well. So, but of course, so today it's about Saint Seiya, Knights of the Zodiac. So this adaptation, the 1986 one, is a 114 episode anime. So, whew, this one is very, very long. And like I said, this one basically covers like 4 or 5 arcs, if I'm remembering correctly. I'll count it when we get to the actual arcs, because I was able to like separate each arc and like get their like official name. So. So it aired October 11th, 1986, all the way to April 1st of 1989. So it came out in the fall of 1986. Weird enough, if you go to my anime list, they said they couldn't find any producers that apparently worked on the original anime. So when you go up to my anime list, it literally says producers non-found, add some. So I guess they have no idea, or they just, no one really has like no real clue on who the producers were for the original anime adaptation. But the licensors we do have. So we have it's AD Films, DIC Entertainment, Flatiron Film Company. I know the first two. because DIC Entertainment also did the original anime adaptation for Sailor Moon. So that's why I kind of know when I see any other like older anime that has that company attached to it, it really reminds me to, oh, it's the same ones that worked on the original Sailor Moon anime adaptation. So, and I've heard of AD Films as well. The studio that did this was Toei Animation. Source material is a manga. It is a action adventure fantasy sci-fi. The themes you'll find in the other is mythology or myth, pretty much. Especially since once we get into the actual characters, you'll kind of know. I mean, in the title it says Zodiac, so that kind of already gives you a hint on kind of what this will kind of be portraying a little bit. And of course, the demographic you'll find it under is shonen. So I see. Make sure my music's not louder than me. So there we go. Just a little bit. So, the synopsis you'll find on my anime list is: in ancient times, a group of young men devoted their lives to protecting Athena, the goddess of wisdom and war. These men were capable of fighting without weapons. A swing of their fist alone was powerful enough to rip the very sky apart and shatter the earth beneath them. These brave heroes became known as saints, as they could summon the powers of Cosmo from within themselves. Now, in present day, a new generation of saints is about to come forth. The young and spirited Seiya is fighting a tough battle for the sacred armor of Pegasus, and he isn't about to let anyone get in the way of him and his prize. 6 years of hard work and training paid off with his victory and new title as one of Athena's saints. But Seiya's endeavors doesn't end there. In fact, plenty of perils and dangerous enemies faces him and the rest of the saints throughout the series. What new quests await the heroes of the epic Saint Seiya saga? So yeah, can I give it a little bit? So, like basically, it's like, what was it? It's like every 100 years or so, the goddess Athena is like reborn onto the earth, and basically her job is to like protect the earth, keep it peaceful and whatnot. But there are other beings out there, sometimes even other gods, that wants to come down in Earth to either ruin it, destroy it, or take it over. So her job is, of course, is to protect that. And with her power alone, she can kind of hold them at bay. So she ends up becoming a huge target to the other forces that want to get rid of her, to make it easier for them to take over the Earth. So with that, she has her warriors, aka the saints, that are supposed to be her like frontline protectors that keep her safe, so that she can of course do her duty of keeping the world from falling into evil, falling into ruin. So with that, we'll kind of go over the main characters, because we do have a bit of a group. There's so many people in this, so many characters in this cast, it's insane. But because the thing is, the knights are all separated by different class. There's the Bronze Knights, which we will be following. That's where the main cast are pretty much from. Then we have the Silver Knights afterwards. And then the top of the top, the cream of the crop, probably the best fighters, and Athena's like top warriors are the Gold Knights. Which actually, I mean, in a way, they're all kind of based off of constellations. But the top 12 Gold Knights are actually based off of the Zodiac. So each one of them is like connected to one of the Zodiac constellations up in the sky, or pretty much the Zodiac signs that we all know nowadays. And that's actually right there. They actually just saw a little picture of them scrolling over. Yeah, there's 12 of them, and each of them are based off of one of the 12 Zodiacs. So I saw another background information about this anime. Apparently, it won the 1987 Emma Image Anime Grand Prix Award. I've heard this a few times with some other older animes, so apparently this is a really like prestige award that they won back in the day. It's kind of like if you were nominated for like one of those anime categories, like the Crunchyroll's anime awards they do every year. It's kind of like that. But, I don't think they call it that anymore. Now it's just like, oh, you got a Crunchyroll award for, like, maybe top anime of the year, top song, or whatnot. Another thing, also, especially for like the main cast, you can it does have their ages here, and a lot of them are like hella young. Like at most, the youngest is like 13, which I think is like most of them, and like the oldest one out of the group, I believe, is 14, 14 or 15. Yeah, so he's not even not like that much older. He's like a year, maybe two older than him, than like everyone else. But yeah, like the main cast, and you know this is typical in like shonen anime. Yeah, like the main characters we follow are like teens. They're pretty much like teens who just got into like not even preteens, they're like teens. So like 13, 14, 15, maybe 16 depending on the anime, but at most they're around that age of like they're like 15, like 13 to like 15 at most. So, and speaking of 13, let's talk about our main character. I mean, heck, the show is based off of him. We'll talk about Seiya, and the character, not the character, the constellation he's connected to is the Pegasus. So like I talked about, that was the armor he was collecting, which is pretty funny. I actually didn't get a picture of it, but in the anime, pretty much their armor is like this huge backpack thing that they carry around. It's crazy. I kind of like how some other adaptations did. Was there ever a time skip? I guess kind of, because in the beginning of the anime, pretty much we see Seiya and he's 13, but there are flashbacks from when he was like a kid and like first like was like introduced into the fact that, you know, he has these powers. He was probably destined to be one of Athena's knights. So we do see like snippets of when he's younger, and actually we do get that with all the characters. We do kind of get their backgrounds of kind of what led them to eventually, you know, meeting Athena and becoming one of her knights and going through the trial to obtain their weapon, well, their armor, pretty much. But I'm trying to see if I can find a picture. Saint Seiya armor. I'm trying to find the box. Cause like it's crazy. So like throughout the anime, when they're like not wearing it, they're literally carrying this like big old box on their back, and it's like that is insane. Like, why are you carrying this big ass thing? So I kind of like what some other adaptations have done. I know in the Netflix like 3D animation adaptation that they did, they made it kind of like a, what's the right word? They didn't make it like a coin. They made it like they kind of made it like look like a dog tag. So it's something they like wear around their neck like a necklace, and then they take it off, and then it transforms into the box, but then brings out their armor. So it's a lot easier for them to carry around in these big old boxes. Okay, actually, let me pause that for a sec. Is it on? Yes. Hey, I'll show a quick image of... So basically, you kind of see how he's carrying it like this in this picture of this, like, figure of him. That's basically how they carried it in the anime. All the characters, all the saints, they literally have this big-ass box on the back of their backs, and that's what they use to carry around their armor, which is totally crazy. It's like, oh my god, so you're carrying this big old thing around. But, you know, at this point, they've been, you know, pretty much training for this, so I'm sure that box to them probably weighs, like, next to nothing. So, but it's still kind of hilarious. So I kind of like what the Netflix one did, and they kind of made it like a dog tag that they kind of just wear around their neck like a necklace. And it just makes it way more easier for them to, you know, walk around with. It's not all that, you know, it's very, what's the word? Like pretty much it's kind of like it can hide in plain sight. You couldn't really tell what it is unless you know, are a knight and you kind of know what it looks like, what to look for. But a normal person wouldn't see that and be like, oh, they just think you probably just have like that for, like maybe it's just, you know, a necklace you like, or that you just like those type of things. Instead of, you know, them walking around with this big old box on the back of their backs. But, right, I'll get back to Seiya. So, in the beginning, pretty much in the beginning of the anime where you meet him, he is 13. His birthday is, like, literally this thing tells me, like, their birthdays and everything. It's crazy. His birthday is December 1st. It told me his blood type is B. That's another thing. I didn't say this. This adaptation of Saint Seiya, holy. when I say like definitely has that old anime style to it, because this thing gets gruesome. Like there is blood everywhere in this anime. Like people are straight up just there. Like when people get cut, you see the blood. When people get stabbed, you see the blood. Like you see the stab and you see the blood. And yeah, it's one of them types of like older animes where they were not afraid to like show wounds, show blood, show like not guts, thank God, because oh my God, but like they showed blood, they showed like all that stuff, and it's crazy when you think about it, because some animes nowadays are kind of doing that, kind of like Demon Slayer, Chainsaw Man, a lot of some of the newer animes are kind of getting back into that, but there was a good while where animes were trying to not be as super bloody and gory like that. But definitely newer animes are definitely like Attack on Titan, Akame got killed. Oh yeah, that anime was super bloody. But no, this I'm not sure how the other adaptations are, but this one in particular, oh yeah, very very just blood, and you can actually see the wounds and people dying, and it's a lot. So apparently he is 165 centimeters. He's 5'5". He's 53 kilograms, so he's 117 pounds. Like I said, there's different ranks depending on the knights and kind of like what constellation you're kind of connected to. And at least for the main cast, they're bronze knights, which are like the weakest, quote unquote, the weakest rank of knights. So Seiya is, of course, the Pegasus. So that ranks him as a bronze knight. He, it's called the Pegasus cloth, but he also does kind of, adapt to a different cloth, which we'll get into later. And his place of birth is Japan. So, and there was a little bit of his synopsis about him. So, Seiya was trained to become a saint of Athena, who is in charge of protecting Earth from the other gods who want to take it as part of their domain. Those gods include Hades, Artemis, and Poseidon. Seiya fights very tough battles but ends up successful through the help of his friends and his love for the earth and his devotion to Athena. His determination has led him to his overpowering gods. So, kind of a bit of a spoiler, but that is a few of the people that some of the other gods that eventually end up becoming like the main antagonists of the anime that want to take over the world, or either they want to take over the world and make it something that they rule and control, or they just straight up just want the world gone. And they know since Athena is in charge of taking over the world, the best way to do that is to get rid of her, because without her, taking over the world will be so much easier. So that's pretty much what the knights come in. Their job is to protect her and protect the earth. And speaking of Athena, in this life, her name is Shiori Kido. She's 13, born September 1st. Nationality is Greece. She is a reborn goddess. She's 155 centimeters and weighs 79 pounds. Yeah. So, the Greek goddess Athena is one of the main characters in the manga Saint Seiya. Right, a character with substantial importance in the universe of Saint Seiya. She's created by the creator based on the mythology persona of the same name. As in Greek mythology, she is the goddess of wisdom and heroic endeavors and the daughter of Zeus. In this story's timeline, she is sent to Earth by the living gods every 250 years. Okay, so it wasn't 100 years. It's every 250 years when evil takes over Earth. Her mission during each one of her incarnations is to restore peace and bring hope, destroy the agent of evil, and protect Earth. To do so, she has been assisted since the age of myth by an army of 88 youths of great strength and courage. Those fists render the sky and kicks, and whose kicks split the earth. Upon radiant holy armors called cloth, and are known as the Saints of Athena. Athena is said to be by birthright the goddess of battle, but she didn't believe in conquest and only fought defensive wars. She hates weapons and thus only allows her saints to battle using their body and armor. The only saint allowed by her to wear weapons is the Libra Gold Saint, and it's only with her permission that saints are allowed to brandish the weapons kept in the Libra Saint, or Libra arm, pretty much. She has opposed the why am I blanking on this word? She has opposed the antagonist deity since the ages of myth and Greece, earning herself the rejection of the other Olympian gods. She has specifically a long-standing conflict with the god of war Hades. During her 20th century reincarnation, she uses the name Shori Kido as her civilian identity, and the English language versions of the manga and the edited anime, she is known as Princess Sienna. Yeah. That's another thing. Her name changes so many times depending on which anime adaptation. They call her Shuri or Sienna, or I think in that Netflix, I keep going back to that Netflix one. That's like the newest one I remember they doing. The Netflix 3D anime adaptation. I don't think they called her Sayori. I think they called her Sienna. So, like I said, there's so many like different names she goes by, but one name that she is like that stays with her is the fact that she is supposed to be the reincarnation of Athena. So let's talk about another Bronze Knight, one who is a very close friend of Seiya's. Kind of have a good kind of like a good rivalry. You know, he is actually the oldest in the group, only by like a year or so. So that is Shiryu Dragon. He is 14. He was born October 4th. He, of course, is a Bronze Knight, just like Seiya, but his is the Dragon Cloth. Out of the 5 main characters, Shiryu is known as the calmest and most collective. His sheer physical strength is the greatest of the Bronze Knights. I keep saying saints, but it throws me off because I think they always call them like knights. In the Bronze Knights, which perhaps the exception of Phoenix Ikki, this is reflected in his ability to have won numerous battles without his dragon cloth. Shiryu trained at the 5 old peaks in China to obtain the bronze cloth of the dragon constellation, and his mentor... Oop, that's a spoiler. I won't say that until a little later. Shiryu sports a large tattooed-like image of a green and white dragon on his back. However, it is said in the anime and the manga that it's not a tattoo, but is connected to his guardian dragon star and only appears as his cosmo is rising. Whenever his life is in danger, the tattooed-like image begins to fade away. Once it becomes completely visible, it's a sign that Shiryu's cosmo is nearing zero, as in death. Yeah, that's another thing they talk about. When one of these saints or knights uses their cosmos all the way up to the point that they have none, it's basically a death, sentence. It's pretty much like, in a way, you can kind of what's the right word? It's kind of like their life force, pretty much. It's like their cosmo is kind of like their life force. So once they use it all up, that basically just means like, pretty much you used up all your life in the form of power, and you pretty much are KO'd. And let me tell you, and not just him, like there's so many of these characters that have had like near-death experience. It's crazy. Especially like the main cast, like throughout this anime, like all of them, not just Seiya, him, Shiryu, the 2 other ones, hell, even the 3rd one that I'll talk about. All of them have had like near-death experience where you think, holy shit, they just got killed off in the show. But something happens and they end up getting revived. And I don't know if that's just anime plot or they weren't completely dead, so then, I don't know, maybe their cosmo was enough to like heal them. It's wild, it's crazy. But some of the deaths are like, yeah, you shouldn't be alive right now. Well, what just happened? So we have, I can never say his name properly. Hagya? Cygnus? I can never say his name. I'll just call him Cygnus. But basically, he's like the swan, and the only information that they gave him was his birthday, which was the 23rd of January. But, so one of the truly interesting main characters in the series, Cygnus appears calm, collected, and unemotional. Beneath the surface, however, he is very passionate and devoted to his ideals. The one person that forever lives in Cygnus' mind is his deceased mother. She died when Cygnus was very young, having drowned during the shipwreck of a doomed cruise. The ship sunk into the icy ocean where the extreme cold kept Cygnus' mother from rigor mortis. Throughout the first arc, he is shown to visit his mother periodically by diving into the water, which is totally crazy. Because it looks like she's like in the like where he's training and where I guess his mother, unfortunately lost her life. Looks like it was like in the Arctic or something. So whenever he goes to like visit her, like down below, which is wild to say, he'll like carry a rose down for her, and this man is literally swimming in like -100 water, swimming down, to go be down there with her, and he'll be down there for a long time. So it's like this dude is in freezing cold water, grieving over his mom, and he'll come out like nothing happened. But I guess in a way that kind of also correlates with his powers. Because each of them, also, I didn't say about this, each of them have like a very specific like power, ability, and attack based off of their constellation. So Seiya's is the they call it so many different ways. They call it like the Pegasus Ryuseikon, or the Pegasus, I forgot what was it, Punch or something in the English, what the English called it. Shiryu was the dragon something, dragon fist, something like that. I can't 100% remember. It was something dragon. But his power is he's based off like ice. So a lot of his attacks and abilities are like ice and ice based. So I guess in a way it kind of correlates to kind of what happened with him, and kind of how like pretty much like temperatures like that basically mean nothing to him. It's pretty much like second nature to him. As a saint born under the Cygnus constellation, he's able to control and manipulate ice and snow however he pleases. It's also implied that he is the first to wear the Cygnus cloth in 10,000 years, as the cloth was previously concealed within an iceberg before Cygnus retrieved it. Oh, actually, I forgot about that. It's been a minute since I finished watching the anime for the podcast. But, yeah, so that's interesting. His favorite technique is Diamond Dust, a widely attack that blasts ice and snow at the opponent in a signal concentrated point. Cygnus has used his attack for other purposes, like creating a mirror that reflects certain attacks, or performing this attack in the leg of an opponent. After learning Aurora's execution, his most powerful technique is renamed Aurora Thunder Attack in the anime. It's the technique that captures his Cosmo in a single tornado, of which it is released via an uppercut. It is a move that, in essence, is a very powerful variation of Diamond Dust. The Aurora Thunder Attack claps both of Cygnus' hands together as he expels ice and snow and ice as his opponents. That's a lot of his attacks, like ice base and whatnot. Actually, let me see if I can find let me see if I can find like a gift of all their attacks. So let me see, Seiya's attack. I thought I had one for Seiya's already up here. GIF. There you go. I need more of him just. Okay, I think I found one. Let me see. Go here. Let me go here. Where was it? Here. Then I'll go. Oops. Wrong one. That's for next podcast. Haha. I'm gonna bring that right here for a quick sec. I'm gonna bring that there. And then we'll once I get it mixed up and add extra. Okay. actually I did have one. Okay, yeah, that was it right there. I was like, I gotta swear I thought I found his attack. But I was like, I hadn't seen him pop up. Let me see if I can find the others. Oh, I should also tell you, Shiryu, the dragon one, basically, not the only one with long hair, but, like, at least for the main cast, like, he's the one with, like, the longest hair. Like, his hair comes, like, all the way down to, like, the back of his leg, pretty much. So if you're someone who likes a male character that's able to rock the long hair, he's definitely a character you'll enjoy. No. If I remember, he always kind of had like long hair, and this always like grew it out. Why can't I find one? Oh, and he also he also has like a shield that he has that's supposed to be like super durable. No one can like break through it. So like that's another thing. Like all of them kind of have like not all of them, but most of them kind of have like secondary weapons that they kind of use for like either defense or something else. I don't know why. It's not. I can't find a good one of his, which is really bad, because his technique's pretty cool. Well, I know the Netflix one. Like, I could probably find one of the Netflix. I was like, but his is pretty cool too. Put that there. All right, let me find what's his name. Cygnus. Let me see if I can find Cygnus's attack. Because his is actually kind of really cool. That's the Netflix one. I'm trying to find. Oh, you know what? Actually, that would work. Haha. So let me grab it. Let me do. Oops. Actually, no. That's exactly what I needed. And then let me add it here. So that's what his attack looked like. It's really cool. Well, one of his attacks. I did think I also found his not his new one, the one I just talked about. His Aurora Thunder attack. At least I think that's it. And then let's put it in. Alright. So his new one should pop up too. And let's actually get on to the next character. Because we have two more of the main characters we gotta talk about. And now, which is pretty funny because they, at least, I keep going back to the Netflix one, but that's like the newest one I can remember on the top of my head. There was a, this character I thought was a girl in the very beginning until I heard the anime, and I was like, oh, no, that's just a boy. That's another thing about these. A lot of the characters, especially the guys, definitely look, some of them you could definitely think to pass off as a girl. You think we would think that's a girl. And Shun, Andromeda, is definitely one of them. He's definitely one of them characters that could easily pass off as a girl. And funny enough, that's kind of what they did in the Netflix adaptation. They made his character a girl, so which I didn't mind, because especially with these type of animes, it was real. I mean, it's definitely more shonen focused. I mean, there are female saints, which we'll get to about them in a minute. But the story mainly follows like the main boys. Well, pretty much follows like the guy saints. So the girls don't really play that big of a role. Some of them do. Cause there's like one that's always trying to like hunt down Seiya. There's the one that trained him and helped him become a knight. And then there's one other one that's actually friends with Shun or Shun. I forget how they say it. I think it's Shun. At least in this adaptation, they call him Shun. There's like a female knight that he got to know when he was training, so we do see her, but she kind of is just there, and then she like kind of disappears. She plays more of a role in the, well, not a huge role, but she gets more screen time in the Netflix adaptation that they did. Maybe because in that one they made Shun a girl, so it kind of made them, I guess, bond a bit more. Since they were both female knights in that regard. But yeah, but he's he's 13 as well. His birthday is September 9th, and yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all the information they have: that his age, gender, his birthday, nationality, which is Japanese, and then the fact that he's affiliated with Athena. So his synopsis is perhaps the most reluctant of the Bronze Knights. Shun is the official Bronze Knight of the Andromeda constellation. His merciful soul by nature and firm believer in solving problems without causing bloodshed. This creates a sharp contrast between himself and the rest of the knights. Where else they will not hesitate to battle when the situation demands it, Shun only allows himself to fight if it's an absolute necessity or when his almost ending patience wears off. When any of these things happen, Shun becomes an extremely vicious fighter. Shun comes off rather badly in the movies and the Arzgarno arc. In almost every fight scene, he almost always loses and needs his big brother Iki to rescue him. Except one time Shun defeated a foe in either. However, okay, that kind of goes a bit more into his character like in each arc, so I'm not gonna do that because those are gonna be spoilers. But yeah, I would definitely say in his character, and now that I'm reading it, is that why they made him a girl in that one? Because it makes him like, oh well, he was most reluctant to fight. I don't know. But yeah, so he's the one wearing like the pink armor, with the chains. He is definitely the most reluctant of fighters in the group. He is one to always want to resolve things peacefully before immediately hopping into an actual fight and causing bloodshed. But like it's kind of said, if like he's pretty much tested to his limit, when maybe someone he really cares about is in danger of being killed before him, that's when he'll step, or like when someone threatens Athena, he'll step up and fight. And if anything, also makes him a formidable fighter because the fact that he fights with his chains, and it's kind of like an offense and a defense, so he's able to defend off enemies, and his chains can also pack quite the punch when he needs to. So it's kind of funny. So he's like one of the ones that don't really fight hand to hand. He has a weapon that he fights with, but he mostly uses it for defense, but can also use it for a good offense as well. And last but not least, is the character they actually talked about in a little bit in his synopsis, would be his brother, Iki Phoenix. So they didn't really say what his age was, but I'm assuming he's at least like maybe 2 or 3 years older than than his brother. Like I said, they didn't say his age, but he always says he's his older brother. So, and they don't look like they're that far apart in age. That's what I'm saying. Like at most, maybe 2 years, maybe 2.5. I would say, I did say like Shiryu was like the oldest of the group. I only say that because Iki kind of doesn't really stay like in the main cast. Like he kind of just comes and goes, but he is like part of the group. He'll come when they like need him the most, or when his brother is like backed into a corner about to be killed, he'll step in, of course. Which is pretty funny because in the beginning that wasn't his character at all. So while Iki is officially recognized as a Bronze Knight, his base power easily places him well above most Silver Saints, and his reputation as a powerhouse is common knowledge among his peers and fellow Bronze Knights. Even as a child, Iki was known as the toughest kid of the 100 orphans and would often defend his delicate younger brother from other children. He could easily be recognized as the strongest Bronze Knight when it comes to raw power. Iki's personality is drastically different from his fellow Bronze Knights. He is very unlike his younger brother, who is almost the opposite of him. Shin is calm, soft, caring, and very emotional, whilst Iki is harsh, cold, aggressive, and very much of a loner. Which is kind of what I say, like, when I say, like, Shiryu was kind of like the oldest of the group, it's only because, lots of time, Iki isn't with them. He'll, like, of course, like, he'll be kind of there at the end, or he'll, like, pop up halfway through, like, a mission that they're on to, you know, help them out, but he kind of keeps to himself and kind of doesn't really, he acts like he's not a team player, but when we get into him and kind of like the tragedy he had to go through to, one, acquire his armor, and kind of like the hell he went through, kind of see what caused him to snap and kind of go, like, F the world, F Athena, F Knights, and whatnot. But, you know, with the help of his brother and the other Bronze Knights, we're able to, like, snap him out of it and kind of return him back to how his brother kind of saw him, as, like, the kind, caring, and protective older brother that he was. There was actually a little bit of information by a fellow Bronze Knight, Wolf Nachi, once pointed out that it's very hard to believe Iki and Shun were related due to their extreme difference in their personality, which is pretty much funny. Yeah, they're pretty much like opposites. Pretty much they're opposites. So that's why it's funny that people, and they don't look alike at all. So, I mean, I don't think any of them have any other siblings. No, that's lied. Seiya has an older sister, but from the few clips we see of her in the anime, and someone we believe to be his sister, but she doesn't ever say it, doesn't look like him either. They don't show like any physical traits. I think it's one of them things where back in the day they made anime siblings not look alike at all, so you couldn't really tell if they were siblings until they said, "Oh no, this is my brother. No, this is my sister," and whatnot. But yeah, they pretty much, like, they don't look alike. They both have different hair colors, both have different face structures, but from what the anime is telling us, that they are like 100% like blood related brothers, like same mom, same dad. So maybe it's just one of them cases where one got their looks from the mom and the other one got their looks from the dad. So if you saw them maybe all together, you would say like, okay, yeah, I see the family resemblance. One just looks like the other parent. Excuse me. But when you just see them, and pretty much that's what you kind of see, because a lot of them are orphans, you're like, yeah, I don't see the family resemblance at all, especially since the fact that their personalities are pretty much polar opposites. That kind of also points out that, like, wow, so you guys are really like brothers? Like, I don't see it at all. But yeah, that's kind of all the main characters, at least. Like I said, there's so many other characters. There's the Silver Knights, there's the Female Knights, there's the Gold Saints, there's, well, of course we'll talk about all the antagonists as well. But before I get into that, I did want to talk about all the story arcs that are in the anime. And I'll talk about the last arc, which didn't get an anime adaptation with this run, but later on did get its own anime adaptation covering this last arc. So, so we have the Sanctuary arc, Sanctuary, there we go, that sounded weird when I first said that, which is actually divided into 4 sub-arcs. So, we have the Galaxian War, or the Black Saint Saga, which is, actually, I even wrote it down as, like, which episodes cover which arc, so, because, let me tell you, like, you would watch one thing, and you're like, oh my god, then you watch another, like, why is the story flipping? It's basically them just flipping from one arc to the next. It's that, like, fast-paced. So, The Galaxian Wars and the Black Saint Saga are episodes 1 through 15. So with that one, it's Seiya and the other Bronze Knight participate in a tournament held by Sayori, where they face off against various Bronze Knights and Silver Knights and are eventually recognized as legendary Bronze Knights. So then we have the Silver Saint Saga, the Gold Saint Saga, and the 12 House of the Zodiac Saga. So the Silver Saints are 16 to 28, the Gold Saints are episode 29 to 41, then the 12 House of the Zodiac Saga are episode 42 to 73. And each one is basically the groups that they end up fighting against. But they all fall under the main arc of the Sanctuary arc, where the Saints climb the 12 Zodiac temples of Sanctuary, guarded by the powerful Gold Saints, to save the dying Athena and confront the evil sage. So basically, this is where the anime kind of pretty much starts. So we meet Seiya. He's returned from getting the Pegasus armor, and he's informed of this tournament that she's hosting. But he's like, no, that's not why I'm here. You told me that I had to bring you this thing, and if I did, then you would tell me where my sister is. We find out that, him and his sister actually went to an orphanage, but when it was revealed that he had, like, powers, they took him away from her, separated them, forced him into her home the home of her and her grandfather, and was then trained to, start his training as a knight, and then eventually sent off to a location to obtain the armor that he was connected to, which was, again, the Pegasus, which got him sent to Sanctuary, actually, and to get the Pegasus armor. Actually, give me a quick second, let me get some water. I'm good. What was that? Oh, right. So, he comes back, and, it's funny, I remember when I was watching this, a lot of people had a lot of gripes, and I guess even back then, about how, Sayori's, character was in the beginning. We find out this girl was a total spoiled brat, spoiled princess, was pretty much spoiled by her rich, famous grandfather, thought the world revolved around her, and that everyone else were just pawns to her, to bend to her will. So we see that she really didn't treat the knights all that good in the beginning. She treated them like playthings, especially when they were younger. She would force them to, like, go whatever she wanted. I think at one point she, like, tried to force Seiya to, like, be a horse for her. So she was gonna, like, get on his back and ride him like a horse. Even gonna whip him to, like, make him go faster. Of course, Seiya's like, even back then, freaking love Seiya. He was like, hell no, I'm not doing that. I don't give a damn what you and all these other people do. There's no way in hell I'm doing that. And then this one night, I forget what sign he was. There was like a pet, no. It was like a unicorn or something. I think he's like unicorn something. I forget his name. But you can definitely tell this guy is a total, you know who what, begins with an S, ends with a P, for this girl, that he was like, oh no, of course, Lady Sayori, I will, if Seiya won't do it, I'd be glad to do it. Dude literally gets on his hands and knees, lets this girl jump on his back, rides him like a horse, and the whole time has like one of them riding sticks things, and is whipping him, telling him to go faster, go faster, go faster. To the point, when she sees her grandfather, like he had just came back home, immediately jumps off of him, runs to her grandfather, hugs him. She turns, the grandfather, of course, is like, Sayori, you shouldn't treat them like that. She turns around, and this dude, his like, his knees are all fucked up, his arms are all messed up, and it's like, oh my god. And then when you see how the adults were treating him too, especially her butler, oh my god. I wanted him to die, like, from the very beginning, especially when we saw what he was doing to the kids, what he did to Iki. I was like, oh my god, you are a horrible human being. So when Iki came back and he was wanting to get revenge against him, and we saw kind of what he did, I was like, oh yes. I was like, kill this horrible, evil human being. It's like, you were just going along with whatever this girl and her family wanted. Not caring about the fact that, you know, she's torturing these kids, and you just went along with it too. You felt like it was your right to torture them like that. It was just, ugh. I'm surprised they kind of kept him around. They didn't kill him, you know, kind of get his retribution for what he did. Because that was horrible. Like, oh my god. But, what was I? Oh yeah, so they were like, oh, you know, they didn't really like her character. She wasn't like the loving, caring, you know, person that the knights, you know, kind of worship and are willing to risk their lives for. Until like later on, when she does have like a change of heart, she does understand like she can't do this alone. Like there are powerful forces that her herself isn't strong enough to go against. She needs the knights, you know, and then that's when she started seeing them in different lights, and actually started treating them like human beings, and I guess in a way also kind of worked up them treating them, well, them treating her a bit better. You know, didn't just see her as this selfish heiress that she was always like. That they saw her like, no, this girl is important. She's someone we have to protect. Someone we would lay our lives down. I keep going back to the anime, the Netflix adaptation, but I like what they did with her character there, because they showed that she was very like loving and caring towards the knights. We actually see she has like a really good relationship with Seiya. You know, they kind of in a way kind of grew up like childhood friends. You know, he was there for her, willing to protect her. You know, and she was there for him. So I kind of like that. I like how the Netflix did it with her character. They made her a bit more loving from like jump. You know, she was willing to care about them. She had a really good relationship jump with Seiya. So I really like that. And I know some other people say like the other anime adaptations that they did of her was a lot better. Like they showed that she was this caring, loving being, you know, from jump. She like cared about the knights. She saw the potentials, and you know, was that like person that they were willing to like lay their lives down for. So like kind of like throughout this whole thing, they're going through this, and in the end, they're supposed to get like this gold armor that's been like quote unquote been in her family for generations, which we will get a bit about that actually. But then when Shun is fighting someone, I forget who it was. He was fighting someone, and another thing about his chain, it like kind of warns him when like danger or a powerful enemy is nearby. So his chain starts freaking out, and he's like, "Wait a minute, what the hell's going on?" And the others are like, Shun, what's going on? Why is your chains reacting like this? And he's like, oh yeah, no, they only react like this when something really dangerous and ominous is like in the around. He's like, something is clearly here, something evil, something filled with hatred and malice and just death. And we see like the armor, the gold armor that she has, it's not missing, but like a part of it was like taken, I think. I'm getting that mixed up with the other one. It was something like that. But then they see who it is, and bada bing, bada boom, it is Shun's missing brother that he thought was dead all this time. It's Iki. So he, of course, he's ecstatic to see his brother. He's like, oh my god, they told me that you died, that you didn't make it, that you didn't survive. He's like, I'm so happy you're here. So I'm so happy you're alive. He's like, brother, I'm so sorry. He's like, it's my fault. You got sent to that place. Like everything you had to go through, it's all because of me. We find out before they were all sent off to their locations to train and get their weapons. Well, I keep saying weapons. Get their armors. They picked from a lottery, and they said, oh, it's whatever you picked is kind of your fate. So that's kind of like the fate destiny has chosen for you. That's the armor, I guess, quote unquote, that you're supposed to be getting that's destined for you. So, I forget the exact name, but it was like Hell's Island or something. So that's the place Shun picked. And of course, the freaking butler at first is like, "Oh, you don't know what that is?" And he's like, "No, I don't. I've never heard of this place." And he's like, "Wow, you must be like the most unlucky kid in the world." He's like, "That place is literally hell on earth. Anyone who's gone there has never come back alive. It's horrible. It's terrible." He's like, "You won't survive there at all." And of course, hearing this, he starts freaking out. He, from jump, he's already been kind of reluctant of fighting and being a knight. So the fact that now he's supposed to be sent to pretty much like a death sentence place, he's like, "No, I can't do this. Like, if I go there, there's no way I'm gonna make it back alive." That's when Iki jumps in and he's like, "Listen, no." He's like, "I'll take his place. It doesn't matter where we go. We just need to bring back the cloths, right?" So he's like, "I'll go in my brother's place." And at first he's like, "That's not for you to decide." And he's like, "Shut up. All that matters is getting the damn cloths, right? So I'll go to my brother's place and he'll go to the location I was supposed to go and whatnot." And I think at one point was gonna strike him when the grandfather stepped in and he was like, "Stop it, like leave him alone." He's made, maybe this is fate's way of, showing. He's like, "No, this is probably the work of fate as well." So he was like, "Let him go, let him be." And it was just horrible. Oh my god, even just saying it out loud is gonna be wild for me to say, because what he did to this poor kid was just totally terrible. So when he shipped him off to pretty much the island, he decides, he's like, "How dare you, embarrass me in front of the," I think it's like president or something, some president like a company or something, or director, some title like that. And hello Izzy, hello. Yes, I'm talking about Saint Seiya. Crazy enough, I haven't even touched any of the other arcs. I have you in my background. Oh, that's cool. But yeah, so he's like, "Oh, how dare you embarrass me in front of the president like that, you damn orphan kid. You're gonna pay for that." So literally, like, on the ship right there, he has this poor kid, like, tied up, hanging upside down, and he is just beating him relentlessly with, like, one of them bamboo swords that, you can see in anime. I don't even want to look this up, because this is wild. Yeah, he's like beating this kid, like, for hours, saying, "Oh, this is your punishment for embarrassing me in front of the president," or the whatever the hell his title was. And like, we're just beating this kid, and this kid is crying, like screaming out, crying in agony. And it's horrible. It's so wild. Like, what the hell? I mean, I doubt I'm gonna find an image of it, but it's that wild of what he does to this kid. It's like, you're doing this to a kid all because he talked back to you and you got reprimanded by your boss for you about to loud shout out at a kid? Like, get the hell out of here. Oh, actually, I found an image of when him and Cygnus were fighting. That was wild. That's what I was talking about. That's where the blood and the guts and, well, not guts, but the blood and everything and whatnot comes from. Cause holy shit, that was a wild scene. Rewatching it, I was like, "Oh crap, I forgot he did that." Literally put a hole in this poor guy's chest. Good Jesus. Sorry, I just saw another image of it and it was just wild to me. I'm not gonna put on my thing. I'm just trying to see if I can find it. Attacked on the ship. I can't find it. I mean, it was just such a wild scene. Seeing this grown man have this kid dangling from like the ceiling of a, like, under the, like, it looked like they were like, what they call that in like the ships, like the not the underground, like not like a basement. It was just like, had him there dangling from the ceiling from it, and was just relentlessly beating this kid, like, black and blue, because he embarrassed you in front of your be your boss. It's like, what? That's when, like, when he came back and he wanted revenge and wanted to kill him. I was like, go ahead. What the hell? By Butler. Oh, here we go. I found the image. Let me pause it for a quick sec. Yeah, so this. So Lily has this kid dangling from somewhere and is beating him relentless with this, like one of them training swords they use in, like, yeah, like, and the fact that this is bloody, so you just see the blood flying, and he's just relentlessly just beating this kid. Like, this is a kid. You are the grown-ass man, and you're here beating this kid, like, to that. Oh, and this is the other scene. This is the scene I talked about, where she was just horrible to them. Like, treated them like nothing. So this is the, I think he's like a unicorn. I think that's his constellation. But, yeah, she wanted to do this to Seiya. Seiya was like, hell no. And then, you know, he, you know, being the S, beginning with an S, ending with a P, for her, you know, volunteered to do it. She literally hops on him, oh, I forgot she did that. Grabbed him by, like, hold him by his hair, forced him to keep going, and then hit him with, like, the riding thing she had. It was crazy. And it's like, what the fuck, bitch? So it's like, yeah, no. That's why I was like, for her, this character, like, in the beginning, who she was in the beginning was like, nah. So when I heard other people were like, oh no, her character was way better, you know, she's supposed to be like this caring, loving, you know, person, someone that the knights look up to, and I'm like, okay. And that did see it in the Netflix 3D one that they did, so I'm like, okay, that makes sense. So I'm like, the fact that she treated y'all like that for years, and then even after coming back, still treated y'all like y'all were indisposable, I was like, nah, fuck this bitch. But people say for at least, like, that adaptation of her in the beginning was, like, not really good. Then we have the Asmogan arc, Asgard? Oh, Asgard, that's what it was. I'm like, why that looks weird? The Asgard arc. So that's episode 70. Yeah, that's another thing. The Sanctuary arc. Even though it is like 4 different mini arcs or sub arcs in one, that's episode 1 through 73. So the first like 73 episodes of Saint Seiya are just them fighting other knights, fighting the Gold Knights, trying to save Athena. Because at one point she gets like stabbed with a arrow of one of the Gold Knights, and with every passing like hour or so, it's like slowly deeping further and further to like pierce her heart. So they literally had like 12 hours to climb up the steps of the Zodiac, of the 12 Zodiac Gold Saints, and had to like get to the top, defeat what they call him, the Pope or something like that, or the Grand Master, and then bring him down so that he could like fix it, and had to do that in 12 hours. But each time they kept going up. At one point, yeah, it looked like at one point each one of them was like taking on a knight and was like dying in the process. So it was crazy. I forgot who was the first one. Was it Cygnus? I think Cygnus fought one of them. And like did it at the cost of his life. And I think Shiryu was next, then Shun, and then Seiya had no. I think it was Iki. I think Iki was first. Then it was Cygnus. Then it was Shiryu, and then it was Shun, and then Seiya got to the top. But at that point, towards the end, you know, something I can't remember. Something happens, Athena wakes up with her powers like fully restored. She climbs up, was able to like heal back the other knights, because it turns out they weren't dead yet. They still had a little bit of like life energy left that kept them alive. So with her, using her Cosmo, she was able to like bring them back from the brink of death. to join Seiya in this final battle. And that's another thing I probably should have said. Iki, his ability is pretty interesting because there are times in the show where he just like straight up is like killed or dies, but his what constellation he's connected to kind of makes it that no matter what happens, or even the few times he is like straight up just like killed in the show, he is brought back because he is supposed to be quote unquote the phoenix, the bird that is dead, can die, and like can be reborn. So that's kind of what his kind of like ability kind of is. So like I said, there are times where he's like straight up just taken out, he's killed, but because of his power, because of the constellation he's connected to, he is kind of like brought back up from the ashes, bigger and stronger than ever. So in a way, you can kind of say that's kind of like a cheat code, at least for him. Even when there are times when he is like just straight up killed, his like power works in a way that he is just brought back from the dead. But what was I saying? Yes, Asgard. So the Saints faces the god of Asgard, led by the powerful Misty, in a battle to protect Athena and prevent a war between Asgard and the mortal world. So this is episodes 74 to 99, and it turns out that this story arc actually wasn't in the manga at all. It's one that the anime created just by themselves, and wasn't in the original manga. So this is definitely one of them filler arcs, but it actually is pretty good. We like get a new place. It's being controlled by it's supposed to be Odin, I believe. But something happens to the person who's like supposed to be connected to Odin. They get taken over and turned to evil. They decide that we're not gonna no longer follow the thing that was forced upon us. We want to go out to the real world. We don't want to be forced to continue living in this world of ice and snow and whatnot. We want to go out to the real world. We want to, see other things, explore other parts of the world that's been forbidden from us. So they're like, the only way to do that is to kill Athena so we can get our freedom. But turns out in the end, we find out that they were just being controlled by the next powerful enemy in the next arc, which is the Poseidon arc. So that's where the Saints are forced to confront the sea god Poseidon after he kidnaps Athena, battling his generals and the 7 pillars to protect the oceans. So that's episodes 100 to 114. So this is actually a really short arc. It's only the last like 14 episodes, but yeah, and it's pretty funny because when we get to this arc, it literally happens like immediately after Asgard, where Athena at that point was like using her powers to stop the glaciers from melting and like flooding the earth, which kind of was not really helpful because the next god they end up fighting is one that basically can control the sea, so it's gonna flood the earth anyways. But we're just using a different way to, I guess, to flood the earth. But yeah, so like it's like immediately afterwards when she's like drained of power, trying to hold back the glaciers from melting, she immediately gets kidnapped, and we find out that she kind of already knows this reincarnation of Poseidon. Turns out he's like the son of this really rich, powerful family. They met at a party years ago, and he, of course, I think at that time didn't awaken as Poseidon, or didn't realize that he was like the reincarnation of Poseidon, but met her, immediately fell in love with her and proposed. Like he's like, I understand this is really sudden. He's like, but we're part of the same world. You're the rich heiress of this powerful family, and I'm the heir of this really powerful like merchant family, I believe, like sea merchant or something like that. But like instantly fell for her, wanted her to marry him. And she at first was like, I'm sorry, but I'm not interested. Immediately left, and this like shattered his mental, because he's like there's no way that just happened. There's no way there's a girl out there that actually said no to me. He's like, I have it all. I'm handsome, I'm rich, I'm the heir to a powerful rich family. At one point this will all be mine. I'll be one of the richest guys world alive. I can give her a life even better than the one she's already lived. She'll want for nothing. She'll all her wishes, all her desires will be fulfilled. How could she say no to me? But in crazy fashion, it also works out that her doing that, also he's like, no girl has ever said no to me. So he's like, that makes her different from other girls. She wasn't immediately, drawn to my money, my power, excuse me, my looks. So he was like, no, he's like, I'm gonna do whatever I can to get her to fall for me. And then I think throughout that, realized he was the reincarnation as Poseidon. So at one point was even trying to give her an out. He's like, listen, just stay here with me. Rule the world with me. We could rule it together. He's like the god side of me. Poseidon wants to get rid of you. You're like the obstacle in my way of obtaining what I want. But the other part of me, the one that fell for you, wants you to be by his side, wants you, to be the one, kind of, pretty much. But in the end, she's still like, no, that's not happening. You can't, force someone to be by your side. You can't force someone to love you, and you can't force the world to bend to the will that you want. That's not right. So once they find out where she is, they go, and a whole nother fight ensues, and that's kind of where the anime ends. But like I said, in the very beginning, there actually was another arc, a final arc, that never got an anime adaptation at the time this anime was being created, and that's the Hades arc. That's where the saints face off against the god of the underworld, Hades, who revives the fallen golden saints and attacks Sanctuary, forcing the saints to enter the underworld to save Athena. That's another thing I actually didn't mention. There were a few gold saints that throughout the first very arc that were a lot of them were good. All of them didn't realize that they were being tricked. So there was two who kind of already knew something was up, something wasn't right. And that was Master Fu, I believe. And that was Shiryu's master, which we find out that at one point, because something happened to Shiryu, he went back to his master to get back. Oops, hit my mic. To get back to train and heal back his injuries. And then it was revealed when Gold Knight went to kill him. Turns out that he was a Gold Knight as well, really old man. But are we surprised that an old man is one of the most powerful beings in the world, or could be one of the most powerful beings in the world? I'm not. That's just how it works in anime. If you're Master Roshi age, or you're that type of old, oh yeah, you're a problem. Master Roshi, Yamamoto from Bleach. What? Oh my god. Seeing what he did in that very beginning of when the final arc came out, it's okay, now I know why you're the head captain and why you've been the head captain for over 1,000 years, because what the hell. Pardon me. There's some other ones. Oh, but it was the old man from time I got reincarnated as slime. What? No, that old man is a problem and a half. There's the one in One Punch Man. I haven't seen One Punch Man, but I've seen him. Both of them. There's two of them. That old man, those two old men, hands for days. Yeah, it's crazy. I'm trying to think. Oh, there's two in Hunter x Hunter. I haven't seen Hunter x Hunter, but I've seen clips of them. Those two, problems as well. That whole family is a problem from my understanding. What's his name? Killua? His family? No, is that his name? The white-haired guy with lightning boy with lightning powers. I think that's his family. I think that's him. Yeah, he has two older family, his grandpa or father or something. But those two old men, hands for days. Cause what the fuck? Oh, my train of thought. Oh, old man in anime. Oh, yeah. But so it turns out his master was is a current saint, but when the Seiya and his group are going through all the different temples of the saints, they're slowly, of course they gotta fight him to be listen, you don't understand, you're being lied to. Cause at this point they come to the cross wait a minute, the saint that the guy in charge that doing this now isn't the one that Seiya was like, no, this isn't the guy I remember. The other one was like kinder, like you could feel the kindness and the aura coming off of him. He was like, whoever is in charge now, this dude's horrible. He's got problems. And actually, we do see it, cause we see like the torture he puts the other like trainees. Like so many of them end up getting killed going through his like training regimen. It's crazy. And just like what he does to, like the traders or people who don't follow him, yeah, it's like night and day. So he says like, yeah, no, something's going on right now. This isn't the guy I knew. This isn't the guy that, you know, rewarded me the armor when I was there. He's like, something's up. He's like, clearly there's an imposter going on that's, you know, that's doing all of this. We need to figure out what the hell is going on. So as they're going through, a few of them, they're able to like talk to them. And like understand, like, listen, no, you've been lied to. Clearly there's something going on that we aren't it's like a big secret that's being hidden from all of us, but clearly we know something is up. And you know, they're so bound by their duty, they're like, no, we have to listen to the I think it's like Grandmaster, I think they call him. They're like, no, he can't be wrong. But you know, seeing, you know, how far Seiya and the other Bronze Knights are willing to go to uncover the truth, to protect Athena, that she's not what they believe. 'Cause that's another thing I forgot to mention. Apparently there's some prophecy that says that this Athena is supposed to be like a bad omen, that she's supposed to bring disaster and death to the world. So the best thing to do to save mankind is to kill her. But as the story is going on, we realize that's not true. It seems like someone made that up to get rid of her. We see that slowly the other Gold Knights are like, oh, okay. They're like, I got beat by pretty much the weakest class of knights. And it's like, no, clearly there's like something's going on. There's something I'm not seeing. So there's a few of the knights that they were able to like convince, or at least have them second guessing, like, wait a minute, something clearly is not right here. But we find out that not all the Gold Knights are these pure, wonderful beings that, you know, kind of deserve their title. I forget which one was it. I forgot which one of the knights. Pretty much, I think it was like the last 4 that they fought that ended up getting killed. That were, I'm trying to think. Gold Saints. Death. Oh damn, was that many? Okay, I found it. Basically they're saying it was 5 of them. Yeah, so, well, the one that died at the end was kind of a little bit different, but I'll talk about that one. Yeah, there's the one that Cygnus fought, then Shiryu fought, Iki, Shun, and then the one that died. Yeah, so 5. So each one of them like fought 5 at the end and ended up but then like you find out that those 5 weren't like the best people in the world. That would be Gemini, Sage, Cancer, Deathmatch, which of course Cancer, son of a bitch. Of course my Zodiac sign to be one weird-bodied evil guy. Capricorn, Shira, Aquarius, Campus, and Pisces, Aphrodite. This is a whale name, because I was like, wait a minute, why are you mixed with a goddess name as well? Oh, I think I might have just gotten spoiled. Well, the ones that died, would make sense, but I mean, of makes sense because I was also seeing like updated version, not updated version, but like looked like some of the Bronze Knights ended up what's the right word? Not leveling up, but promoted. There we go. Was like promoted to a status of a Gold Knight. So one was of course our main guy Seiya, and there was one more of the other Bronze Knights that eventually got promoted to be a Gold Knight. I won't say who, but if you look it up, you'll probably find which one. And I don't remember which I don't remember which one he took. No, budget, I'm gonna look it up right now. I can't remember which. I know which one Seiya ended up becoming. But which one did he take? Oh, it was that one. Okay. Yeah, okay, so it was that one. That's the gold cloth he ended up inheriting. Okay. I was like, which one was it? I don't remember. I was like, was it the one who... Nope, not the same thing. That's a spoiler. Ha! But, what was I saying? Oh, right, the Hades arc. But yeah, those were like those 5 were like really bad. Were like pretty much were the straight up evil guys who had these powers, and I think at one point a few of them were even like, I don't care if everything I've been told is a lie. It's like the pretty much to them it was like power rules all, and if if they were the more powerful, they were the ones at the top of the food chains. And they believe that the world should be ruled by the powerful, the strong. The weaks deserve to die, and just be beneath those that are better than them. Yeah, it's a bunch of pretty much just evil assholes. So ended up getting killed and whatnot. So, but yeah, looks like they ended up getting revived in this last arc and ended up fighting against their own fellow knights. But like I said, they were bad guys to begin with, so it wasn't really all that surprising. They were using their power for like nefarious purposes and just being evil human beings, so not all that surprised. But yeah. What else? Yes, less than a bit of it, leaving the final part of the manga without an anime adaptation. So it's kind of like what happened with Bleach. How now we're finally getting the final arc, which I hope when they come out with the last part, because I'm already caught up and I want to see the rest of it. I haven't read the manga. I don't want to read the manga yet. I want to watch it animated first. But good for this. The Hades arc was later adapted into an anime adaptation. That wasn't until 2002 though. So even though about that point, the anime ended at 1989, I said, was when this anime run finished? Yeah, 1989. So, damn, how long ago was that? So, it was 2002 to 1989. Damn, that was 13 years. So, it wasn't until 13 years later that, the Hades arc got its own anime adaptation. Because wait, how long was Bleach? Bleach was about like 10 years, right? They went 10 years before they finally started adapting the final arc into an anime. Oh, where's y'all in not adapting things to their entirety? I mean, nowadays they don't really do that. Nowadays a lot of animes well, it depends on how popular it is, do end up getting like their full story adapted. I know they're working on the 3rd season of Jujutsu Kaisen. We got the movies for Demon Slayer. I think Chainsaw Man's next arc is supposed to be like a movie or something. Something I believed. What else? I mean, we finally got Bleach. I don't know when we'll ever get Black Clover to come back. I heard things have been getting wild in the manga, but I haven't read it. Hell, even the anime I talked about last time, Seraph at the End, they never continued on with another season. And so many good things happened. I read the manga because I'm like, it's been years. I don't know if we're ever going to get an anime. Because they kept saying, I see things like, oh, well, they're thinking about making a season 3, and then nothing ever happens. But I would love for them to do a season 3 of Cerebral at the end. I would love for them to. I keep saying this and I keep forgetting to read the rest of the manga. Yona of the Dawn. I would love for them to do a season 2 of Yona of the Dawn. It was so good, and it ended at such a good point. I would love to see what happens afterwards. But yeah, there's so many like older animes that, I mean, hell, they did it with Fruits Basket. The first anime adaptation, and they came back years later and like redid the whole story. Same thing with like Sailor Moon. I mean, at first we had never gotten the English of the last arc, of Stars. Then they came back and pretty much revamped the whole anime and actually did it following the main story of the manga. So, I mean, Naruto pretty much has like its own. Pretty much got it from like beginning to end. But I did hear that they were thinking about like bringing back at least like OG Naruto and like reamping it and cutting out all the filler and like pretty much just focusing on the main story. What else? I mean, One Piece is still going long and strong. Good lord. Dragon Ball, we don't know. The Daimon finished, so we don't know when or if they'll ever do the rest of Super. I know the manga kept on going, so there is definitely more that they could do for Super. You know, R.I.P. Akira Toriyama. Well, because, what else? I mean, so many animes out there that's never done, like, a full completion that they definitely could do. But, what else? Oh, right. Actually, I didn't say about this. About the final arc. Yeah, it didn't come out until 2002. And was adapted into an original video animation or OVA series. The project was divided into 3 chapters: Sanctuary, Inferno, and Eclipso, spanning a total of 31 episodes. So that's kind of what the final arc is. I myself have not seen this yet. I haven't seen the final arc. I only covered the original anime run, so where I stopped was pretty much the Poseidon arc. But like I said, it is definitely one of them older animes that takes forever to watch because it is insanely long. But there's so many different remakes, so many different adaptations of Saint Seiya. But I would say if you're a fan of the old style anime, definitely if you're into that more gritty, gory, how those older animes were back in the day, you'll like. I'd say if you're like Berserk, but not as much as like guts and whatnot, pretty much like all that blood and whatnot, you'll definitely like Saint Seiya. I mean, Saint Seiya is such a popular series. I mean, to the point that they made like a 3D anime adaptation of it like years ago once Netflix got their hands on it. And there's, like I said, there's so many different versions. There's one of where now they're older, and you know, at this point, Seiya's not a Bronze Knight anymore. He's been promoted to a Gold Knight, and someone else takes on the mantle of being the Pegasus Knight. There's even like a version where it focuses on girls, and oh, I actually didn't say this. In this version of Saint Seiya, and I think even in some of the other versions too, they do this. But basically, there are female knights, but when if they accept their fate of being a knight, pretty much they kind of like give up their femininity pretty much, and they're forced to wear masks. And that basically they're like, well, now you're no longer a woman, you're a knight, you're a man. You have to give up, you know, don't expect to be treated like a woman anymore. You're now a warrior, you're a knight, and they have to like wear these masks. And apparently it turns out there's even like this really crazy rule that if anyone sees a female knight without their mask, they have to do 2 things. They either have to kill the person, so that I guess they never reveal what they really look like, or they have to spend the rest of their life with that person. So which is totally wild, but that's something that happens to a female knight that Seiya encounters, that at first holds a grudge against him because she also had an apprentice that she wanted to inherit the Pegasus armor, but Seiya eventually got it, so she always hold that grudge against him. And then when he saw her face, that just drove her even more to try to get rid of him. But her story is actually very interesting too, and kind of what happens with her and Seiya. But there is one more character that I didn't talk about, and someone that at this point, when you watch the show, you're like, wait a minute, is this person who I think it is? But it's never revealed, unless it's revealed in the final arc. But it's never revealed who this person is. But we kind of have a inkling of who this is. Pretty much, it's his teacher that taught him, how to fight, how to focus and control his Cosmo. Is teacher Marin. It's a female knight. It, taught him everything, kind of treated him kind of like the little brother she never had. But I think at this point we kind of already know, and there's been hints throughout that this is actually Seiya's older sister. I guess one point she had found out what had happened to him, kind of what kind of life was being forced upon him, and decided, she too also willed the power of Cosmo, and to be by his side to protect him. And even though she couldn't be by his side, maybe in the way that she wanted and the way he wanted, decided that the best thing to do was to take on the persona of someone else and be his teacher, so that way she could teach him everything he needed to know to survive pretty much the fate that was going to be bestowed upon him. So, but like I said, in the actual anime, it doesn't. No one 100% confirms it. People kind of infer oh, what would you do, if I told Seiya the truth, about who you really are, Marin, or whatnot. And there might have been a few people who probably pointed it out, but she would deny it and whatnot. But at that point, we can definitely tell, yeah, this has to be his sister or something. And speaking of sister, it's not her in this anime adaptation, but there actually is an anime, I forget what it's called. It's a girl one, where it's it focuses on female knights. So basically all the characters that we see now were kind of replaced with girl versions. So they don't have to wear the mask. So there's one that wields the Pegasus armor, there's one that wields the dragon, one that wields the Cygnus, that wields the Andromeda. So there's girl versions of them, and they're fighting this great evil for Athena's sake. And, it's really interesting. I tried watching it, can't really find it anywhere. And speaking of find, one of the ways you guys can watch at least this adaptation of Saint Seiya, YouTube has it, the Roku channel, YouTube TV, Crunchyroll. Yeah, that's pretty much where you guys can find it. Is it this one? No, that's the other one. Oh, here it is. Saint Seiya Santana Show. Here, I'll bring it up. Let me get rid of that one. Yeah, this is the one I'm talking about, where the main characters, especially all the knights we see are girls. There's a few guys that do pop up, but the main cast are girls. So we kind of follow girl knights going through this adventure. It's really interesting. I remember I watched it once. I don't remember anything about it or how it works out, so I would definitely like to rewatch it myself and figure out what happened. But as you can see, got a really bad review. Got a 5.6. But when did this come out? I didn't even say that the season, but that'd be what, fall? No, winter of 2018. But I would definitely like to see. I would like to watch this and kind of see the difference between this and since the whole cast of this is girls compared to the all guy cast. But oh yeah, this is the damn. This came out 2019 when it first came out. Actually, there was a huge gap before part 2 or season 2 started. So, but yeah, this is the 3D anime adaptation of Saint Seiya that they did for Netflix once they got the licensing. So yeah, this is Shun, but I think her name is Sean in this version, and they made her a girl. So pretty much in this version, all the other knights are guys except for her. She's the only main female knight in this. And it's a good thing because in this one too, We do see other female knights, except for it's like two, but that keep their face hidden. But like the one that was like his friend in these and the old adaptation, that like she still wore a mask, but in this adaptation, I guess because at this point this one Sean is a girl knight and she doesn't have to wear a mask. The other one doesn't wear a mask either, so we can like see her face. So, but yeah, this is the one I kept referencing back to. This is the 3D anime adaptation they did on Netflix. And that's like part 2 that they did, or season 2. I swear it's like season 2, part 1. I swear they split it in like 2 parts. I remember there was like a huge gap between this and like the other season. But yeah, no, Saint Seiya is huge. See, here's one of the Hades arcs. That's like one of the chapters. And there's like so many different adaptations of it. It's crazy. I've never watched this one, but I've heard this one is actually really, really good. Saint Seiya Lost Canvas. I heard this is a very good Saint Seiya adaptation. I've never watched this one myself, but I've heard this one's really good. I think that's kind of it. I know there's like another one, like there was one I saw, but oh, this one. This is like where like a new set of knights should join in, so like now it's still called Saint Seiya, but now it's following like a new cast of Bronze Knights. And from what I'm seeing, it looks like this got a pretty good review too, so this anime might be a good watch as well. But yep, that's pretty much it for me. I've been talking for almost an hour and 40 minutes at this point, just talking about Saint Seiya. But like, no, this series is huge. There's so many ups and downs, so many things. And it's pretty funny because at least in this one, they didn't do it in the other, like the Netflix adaptation, and they didn't do, well, kind of. They also do it where like each boy has like a love interest. So for Seiya, there was a girl at the orphanage that he kind of grew up with, but we could tell she has feelings for him, and he maybe doesn't really show. Maybe he has, or maybe he doesn't really know that he has feelings for her, but he like deeply cares about her. He'll go and like reassure her. He's like, yes, I have to go and do this dangerous thing, but I'll come back to you. I won't just go off and disappear for 6 years like I did before. He's like, I'm back to stay. I'm gonna get my life back. It'll be in my hands. Excuse me. Shiryu also has a love interest. It's the girl that was helping him out when he was training. We think in the beginning, actually for a long time, that's his master's granddaughter, which in a way she kind of is, but kind of isn't. It's revealed that she actually is not related to the master by blood. That she was an orphan that was just dropped on his doorstep, was like abandoned by her parents, and the master took her in and pretty much raised her as his own. So in a way, that's kind of like his daughter / granddaughter, but they aren't like fully related by blood. But he's watched over her pretty much from birth, so that pretty much makes them family. But we can definitely tell that she has feelings for him. And we do see that he does truly he does care for her. There was even like a flashback when he like met her for the first time, and he was like blushing over her, he would like call her name pretty and cute, and was always gonna be there for her. It's really cute. I like their relation. I like the little romance between them too. Shiryu has one, which actually is the female knight I kept talking about. We do see like she kind of does care about him. And when she gets into danger at one point, he's willing to like with his character, he's not really the type to like jump in and join to a fight. But when some people start attacking her and whatnot, he's like, no, leave her alone, leave her out of this. I'm the one you want. Don't you dare, target her, target me. And we do see he like does truly care for her, wants her safe, doesn't want her getting more involved in what's been happening already. So we kind of see a bit of a romance between them. It doesn't last long, like some of the other two, like the first two I talked about. Because at least with the Seiya's love interest, we do kind of see, she's not in the story 100%, but she, whenever he's like taking a downtime, we do see that they have like sweet moments together. Same thing with Shiryu and his love interest. We do see them having close moments together, especially at one point when he gets like injured and he gets back to his master to like recuperate and whatnot. We see her like tenderly caring for him, you know, doing all this to get him back to 100%. Even playing like a huge role in one of the fights against one of the Gold Knights he does. It's really their romance is like really nice. What's the thing? Sure, yeah, his is pretty kind of short. We do see he does care for her, you know, doesn't want her getting involved. And at first, Cygnus didn't really have a love interest, but it's pretty funny because his love interest kind of popped up in the filler arc that wasn't in the manga. But because it turns out the sister, like the main antagonist, or pretty much the person who was turned into the main antagonist of that arc, has a sister who like starts noticing like, wait, my sister doesn't normally act like this. Something's wrong. Something or someone is taking control over her. So she reaches out. Like I forgot what happens. Like Signy gets captured. He gets tortured a little bit. She frees him. Asks him like, "Are you please? I need to know. Are you a knight of Athena? Are you one of her knights?" And when he says, "Yes, I am," she's like, "Please, I want an audience with Athena. I want her to find some way to save my sister. Something's wrong. Something's clearly taken over her." We kind of seen like the romance kind of blooming between them, which is kind of sad, you know, since it turns out that that's actually just all filler. But I'm still counting at that in my head. And actually, turns out, not turns out, but there actually is one. Even Iki had a love interest. There was a girl in the island that he went in his brother's place. I think it was like the master had a daughter, and pretty much kind of like similar to Shiryu's, you know, but that was like his blood-related daughter, I believe. But you know, since she wasn't born a knight, born a boy, she could have become a quote-unquote knight, and I guess didn't have the capabilities to become like a female knight. But so it was like there as like his caretaker, you know, was there taking care of him, and they ended up bonding and kind of end up falling for each other over that. I won't go too much about what happened with her, because that's a big spoiler and one of the things that really like warped his character to what we saw in the very beginning of the anime. So I definitely say recommend watching what happens with that. But it is like very sad and very tragic, I'll say at least. But yeah, that's pretty much it for that. I forgot I should have put that back on. But yep, that is it for Saint Seiya. At least for this adaptation. Like I said, there's so many different adaptations, so many different retellings of the story. We still haven't even touched the Hades arc, so we have no idea what happens in that final arc. But there's just so much to this story, so much to this lore, so many different versions. It's insane. It kind of reminds me of like Fate, how there's so many different like versions, so many different retellings that you can't really know which one's supposed to be the quote-unquote original. I mean, I guess this one is kind of the quote-unquote original since this is like the oldest adaptation they did. You know, since this one came out in the 1980s. I mean, all the other ones didn't come out until like the 2000s, but I mean, I guess you could say this is like the one that started it all. This is where all the other spin-offs, the other adaptations, all the remakes came from. So, but I definitely enjoyed rewatching it. I loved kind of seeing the journey the characters went through, all the trials and tribulations, all the heartache, all the pain they had to go through, and kind of seeing them all grow and develop, not just as knights, but as friends, you know, going through this journey together, being there for each other, and giving each other the strength to, you know, go for what they believed in, and not backing down when it seemed like everything was pretty much against them. Because in the very beginning, that's kind of what it was, you know, once they like kind of learned the truth that, you know, she wasn't, or they believed that she wasn't this bad luck charm that was gonna like drag the world to destruction. The fact that, you know, pretty much they had like a whole set of silver knights and gold knights that were already supposed to be powerful than them, but you know, the fact that it was just like the 4 of them, well, 5 of them against pretty much an entire army and then like association, like I'm sure that for them that's overwhelming, but they, you know, power through it, got stronger with every fight, and stayed true to what they believe in and in their faith. And Athena and being who she was supposed to be, the protector of the earth, protector of the world, and them believing in that and believing in each other gave them the strength to prevail through pretty much impossible odds that should have been like near impossible for them to do. So that's another thing I really like about this story. Kind of seeing the friendship that bonds between all of them. In the beginning, there were some that kind of came off as like assholes that, kind of gave off that lone wolf besides Iki, but eventually they all kind of grew into becoming like their own little family, This was all something that you could say fate kind of forced upon them, but they decided to, even going along with it, but decided that, fate wasn't gonna fully decide how their story ended. They were going to decide how it ended, even if it was through their fists. They were gonna fight their way to the future that they wanted, not what anyone else was thinking about, and not even what fate might have had in store for them. They were gonna pave the way to their own future, do their own desires, and find their own happily ever after. And I just really like that. So, like I said, that is it for me. I've been going almost 2 hours. But, yep, so that is it for me. Sitting in that one spot for a while. But that's it. So that is Saint Seiya. Would I recommend this anime? 110%. Saint Seiya, especially if you're just someone who wants a good action, pack, fighting, shonen anime, definitely check out Saint Seiya. And like I said, definitely kind of check out the other adaptations. See if any of the other ones, interest you. Like I said, I've heard Lost Canvas is really, really good. I actually did enjoy the 3D anime adaptation that Netflix did. I haven't seen Omega, and I don't remember much of the female one. But I would definitely check them out and see what I think about them, because they do seem interesting. They do look, they are like different retellings of the story of like different characters, some picking up the mantle from previous characters. So it'd be interesting to kind of seeing like how the story evolved from this point of view and pretty much all that. But yep, that's it for me. So let me go here. Whoops. Let me get rid of that. Get rid of that. There we go. Oh, and then we change that too. Alright. So, that is it for me tonight, you guys. Oh, let me fix my stuff. I'm over a little too much. And let me turn that off. Let me turn on the right music. There we go. So, that is it for me tonight, you guys. Thank you so much for everyone who came and watched me live. Whether you're watching me here on Twitch or YouTube. Remember, I do simul stream on either or, so you can check me out on either or. I simul stream on both, so you can check me out on either or. I will have the audio version of this podcast probably up by tomorrow, so you can definitely check out the audio version of the podcast later on any podcasting platform you guys have, whether it's an app, maybe a website. Definitely check it out. If you want to check out just the audio version, but if you want to check out the live, definitely come over to Twitch or YouTube. I will have it up. Well, I'll be up anyway. I know Twitch will be gone after 7 days, but if you miss it after the 7 days, go over to my YouTube. All my past vlogs are up there. So, oh, actually another thing I wanted to shout out to, it's not loading up here properly, but I want to thank everyone so much. We reached our 300 goal over on YouTube. Now we're actually at 301 subscribers. So thank you so much, you guys. I still am totally shocked and surprised I have this many subscribers on YouTube. Like, it's insane. Because, it's funny because I've always heard stories of other VTubers, when they started out, that they started out with like very small amount of people, only with like maybe like 20 subscribers at most on either platform, where there was was Twitch a thing back? Well, yeah, Twitch was kind of a thing. Was I think like still relatively new back in the day, but the fact that one VTubing community is huge. There's so many different VTubers out there whether you're a corporate VTuber or even an indie VTuber like myself. I know there's so many other people out there, so the fact that I even have 300 people subscribed coming and checking out my content, which is basically just a girl over here talking about anime, playing games, and just having a good old time, I totally do enjoy that, and I love, anyone who comes in. Like I said, even if you come in and you don't say anything, just the fact that you're coming in and you're checking out my content, whether it's something that does pique your interest, or maybe I convince you to check something out. It's really cool and interesting, and I just really love that. But so thank you guys so much. My next goal, because I don't remember. No, I wrote it down here somewhere. Ah, that's what it was. It's 500 to like start getting, I guess, like monetized over on YouTube. I have the 3 videos upload. So it's just the subscriber count and then the public watch view or the short views, which I do need to get more into posting shorts, because a lot of people like shorts, so I do need to check that out as well. So, but I am learning how to do that myself, because like I said, with how things are, I don't have the money to pay anyone to do all that for me, and plus I kind of want to learn how to do stuff like this myself too, so that way I know how to do certain things. But I mean, heck, I edit my own videos. They may not be 100% top tier, but I do the best I can, and I feel like I'm getting better with each time I do them. So, but yeah, so thank you so much. I say the next goal is 400. So let's reach that 400 mark, you guys. And same over here with Twitch. I'm at, 63 follows? And our goal is 70. So let's definitely reach that 70 goal over on Twitch as well. So, but that's it for me tonight. I'll be back again tomorrow. We'll be hopping into Weathering Waves, continuing on more with that. Then we'll end off the week with 2 more Simpsons. Well, depending on how much more of the Simpsons. If not, I could definitely probably do something else if we possibly finish The Simpsons tomorrow. I don't know. I don't remember how long this game is. I mean, it is one of them older games, so I doubt it's like insanely long, but we'll see how far I get to that. Because there's still... We're playing now as Marge, I believe, in The Simpsons Hit and Run. So definitely gonna see how much left of that game is. But yep, that's it for me tonight. Thank you again so much for everyone who came. Hope everyone had a great night, day, evening, wherever you guys are. And until then, I'll see y'all next time. Night, everyone. Bye.